Making posole. Posole is a rich Mexican stew made with pork and tomatillos and hominy. I'm making the green version today, obviously. So let's get started because it's super easy, super rich, and delicious for this beautiful fall weather we're having. Okay, so to start our posole, I've got some tomatillos here that I've just peeled and quartered or cut in eighths actually. If you've never used a fresh tomatillo, this is what they look like in the store. There's this papery husk that you have to peel off and then discard. And then the fruit itself is a little sticky, so you want to give them a rinse just to get that sap off. They're actually related to gooseberries, and they're quite tart. Okay, and then I've got a jalapeno here that I just stemmed and cut in half. I'm going to put these under the broiler for a few minutes to get a little bit of toasty charriness until the skins get kind of blackened and a little bubbly for just a couple minutes. While those are broiling, I've got a pan here, a big pot, over kind of a medium heat, and I'm going to start by cooking up some bacon. This is about a 1/4 pound that I just diced up. I want to start getting that fat rendered out of there. And if you don't eat pork, you can do this same recipe with chicken thighs. It's not going to be called posole anymore, but it will still be tasty. You can still call it yummy, so that's great. So we'll just cook these for about a minute or so until some of that fat gets rendered out. Okay, once it starts to be looking a little juicy, we can add in some really, really finely diced onion and some more coarsely chopped garlic. And just start softening that onion in the bacon fat. Okay, and then once your onions are beginning to look a little translucent like these, sort of move everything out, make a little well in the center, and we can add in our pork. I've got just about a pound of pork stew meat here. I just bought a roast and cut it up into fairly small pieces, a little bit smaller than an inch. I trimmed off most of the fat since we got all that bacon in there. I'm just going to brown about half of this because the browning adds a lot of flavor, but by not browning it, you actually end up with more tender pieces of pork. So I'm going to brown half of it to add that flavor level, and then I'm just going to add the rest in a little bit later so we also have some nice tender chunks. All right, so be a little patient with it. Make sure you get some color on there, brown chunks. Make sure you keep checking on your broiler occasionally so you don't burn your house down. If you burn your house down, it's not my fault. I'm not liable. Okay, so I just pulled these out, and now this is what we've got. So we got some brown stuff, and these tomatillos get soft so fast. It's pretty amazing. So set those aside for now. I think we're good here. I'm going to stir this all around. Use the onion juices and all the liquids that are releasing to kind of scrape the bottom, deglaze it a little bit. I'm going to add my tomatillos and my jalapeno. And the jalapeno, I'm just going to leave it whole and then I can pull it out later because I don't want this to be a super spicy soup, but you want it to have a little bit of warmth to it. See, these are just like falling apart already, and make sure you get all that tomatillo juice that's released also. If you can't find fresh ones, you can totally buy tomatillos in a can that are already peeled, and I would still go ahead and broil them even though they're cooked and soft, just to get that flavor on there. And I'm going to add the rest of my pork. Got some oregano, cumin, anise, and a bay leaf, and black pepper. I'm going to hold off on the salt for now because the bacon and the chicken stock and the hominy, which we're going to add, are all pretty well salty already, so you can just wait till the end and taste it, I think. Awesome, this smells fantastic. I'm going to add my chicken stock. It's about a quart. Well, it's exactly a quart. It sounds disgusting. It sounds like an enema. I guess. I mean, I've never done one. I don't know. All right, and then I'm going to add some hominy. And you can buy it in a can like I'm doing here. You can also buy it dried and cook it yourself. What it is corn, dried corn kernels that have been soaked in calcium carbonate? Lime is like the layman's term for it. I forget the exact, but it peels them and then it also like firms them up. So they've got almost I don't know, they kind of look like little popcorn. They're really nice. They're in a can, they're usually very salty. If you wanted to buy dried hominy, definitely soak it overnight and go ahead and cook it in some water until it's tender before you add it to the stew, because it takes a while to cook and everything else would be a little overdone, I'm afraid. So this looks absolutely wonderful. I'm gonna put a lid on it and just bring it up to a simmer and let it simmer for about an hour probably. So see you back then. Sorry it's taking so long. Okay, so it's been just about an hour. Oops. Our stew is nice and thick and the pork is tender, not quite as tender as I want it to be, but that's okay because we're actually gonna cook it a little bit longer. I've got some zucchini here that I've just chopped up in pretty big chunks because I don't want it to just totally disintegrate. You could use a calabaza squash too, that's more traditional, but got a zucchini and that's gonna be fine for today. So just stir that in, get it down into the liquid. Then we're gonna put the lid back on and let it cook for about another 30 minutes until the zucchini is nice and tender, and by then the pork should be just delicious and falling apart. Making a lot of noises. Okay, we're ready to eat. Our soup is done. Looks delicious. My house smells awesome. Yay. So we're gonna garnish it with a little bit of cilantro and a little bit of green onion. And that's it. It's a full meal in a bowl, you guys. So if you like this recipe, check out my chicken tortilla soup recipe. You might also enjoy that one. Please remember to subscribe, and printable recipes are always available at hilahcooking.com. So check that out. Come see me over there. If you have an important question about a recipe, that's always the most reliable way to reach me, is to leave a comment on the website. Man. Holy cow, that is awesome. I am so impressed with myself, and I can't believe I don't make this more often. All right, well, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys